Greetings, family. We are now live. Welcome, welcome to the Sister Shanice Show. Yes, it's Wednesday. Yes, it's you Jammer Day. It's another opportunity for us as a family to interact together. I've got my guests in the waiting room, waiting to come forward. I'm going to be bringing them out to you in a little while. Just giving you an opportunity to come through the door. Let us know, family, that you're in the house. Let us know where in the world that you're watching us from. I must say, I've been fighting off a flu bug. I've returned to the UKKK, and it's like the weather has said, you think you got away? You think you got away from the cold and the flu? We've been waiting for you. And we catch one call, you see, and catch a touch of the flu. I tell you, from last Thursday, I have been fighting this thing off. And today, I must say, I'm feeling the best today that I have been feeling for a good while now. Oh my days, it had me, the headaches, the toothache, the whole all of the flu symptoms were there. But fortunately, I think the worst is definitely behind me. So I'm so grateful for that. So up to this morning, I could hardly talk without coughing. And now I'm talking quite a bit without coughing. So I'm really grateful that, I am on the mend. So how have you all been, family? Let me know. How have you been? How's the last strong been? Some say weak, some say strong. As you can see from the caption and the title for today, we're going to be talking about Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Yes, and for the whole month of August, I know we're not quite in August yet, but for the whole month of August, it's going to be Mosiah month. That is Marcus Mosiah Garvey's month. It's the month of his Strong. And so, we want to celebrate him as we do. And so we've got a couple of guests backstage who are resurrecting, not even resurrecting because he never died, who are taking the UNIA by the horns and are going to be doing some phenomenal works, family, to make sure that everybody around the world is reminded about the UNIA, why it's important for us to get behind it. It's going to be a really interesting discussion. We've got the President General of the UNIA and also the third Assistant President General of the UNIA waiting to come live. And so let me just check my phone and make sure that we're coming out okay via YouTube. Yes, it says my channel is now live. Let me just go to my channel. Drop me a message, family. Let me know that you're in the house. Okay. Also, I can't talk about Mosiah without mentioning the 1st of Mosiah. Yeah, that's the 1st of August, for those who don't know and haven't caught on yet. The 1st of August is a Reparations Day March. Yes, every 1st of August for the last 10 years. This year is going to be the 11th year. Here in the London, UK, we have been marching for our reparations. Now, we don't expect to get reparations during our lifetime, but really what we're doing is we're reminding the descendants of those former colonialists that they owe us, yeah? And we know and we remember that they owe us and they're not going to get away with it. We're also preparing the way for the next generation so that they can benefit from reparations. And so the 1st of Mosiah, if you're in the UK, find your way down to Brixton. Yes, find your way outside the square, Windrush Square in Brixton, okay? Windrush Square, Brixton, that's where you need to be in order to join us for the Reparations March. And if you're in the chat and you're going to be there at Windrush Square on the 1st of Mosiah for reparations, let us know. Yeah, it would be great. It would be absolutely fantastic to know that some of the Sister Shanice Show audience members are actually physically in the house. Okay, I'm going to grab the link. And then I'm also going to bring my guests forward so that they can be introduced to you. Okay, hopefully everything's set up backstage now and they're ready to come. and greet you. So yeah, come in through the door. Let us know that you're there. Give us a big up. Give us a big up. I want to rise up, brother Kwame Oboche. Rise up, Hotep, beloved. Thank you so much for calling my show earlier today as well. It was great to hear your voice on my radio show. He says, get well soon, darling. Oh, thank you so, so much, brother Kwame. Enough love, black at you. And he says, Baba Marcus Garvey, a phenomenal Pan-African leader, warrior, mentor, and hero in our history. Absolutely. He is just phenomenal, you know, and he said something along the lines that it's the deeds that you do during your life for others that you will be remembered by, not the deeds that you do for self. And this is why, you know, nearly 100 years later, we still remember this great, great man because he was just, you know, phenomenal, really. And what you're looking at there on my screen, let's get the other side. What you're looking at on my screen is a handbook that I produced. And you can get it, there's it, that side, and you can get it free of charge, okay? You just have to go to gumroad.com. That's gumroad. It's sistershanice.gumroad.com. I think that's it. Sister, or just get in touch with me and I'll send you the link. And you can download it free of charge. In fact, I'll get the link and I'll drop it in the chat, okay? All right, so let me view the waiting room and just check that my guests are ready to come live. Sheriff S is in the house. Rise up, rise up. She says, big up, Dr. Shanice. Oh, one love. Blessed love. She says, I will look for you, but be late on the 1st of Mosiah. Oh, what? Oh, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. But I must say, this year we've got a bit of a family reunion. And so, unfortunately, this will be the first year that I personally won't be able to make it. But please go, take some photos, and WhatsApp those photos to me, or send those photos, upload it so that I can see them. Even do a little bit of a live for me. That would be awesome. That would really be awesome. Okay, let's admit our guests. Let's just check that they are ready to join us in the house. We've got Brother Gil and Brother Cleo, and you'll need to put your cameras on, Brother Cleo. You need to put your camera on. We've got Brother Gil. Absolutely awesome. You're on mute. Okay, welcome, welcome. Brother Cleo, how you doing?
He's still
Brother
muted.
Brother Gil. So where's Brother Cleo gone?
And here I am. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
we're
we
hearing
can hear you. That is
We're not seeing you though, because the camera's off. But we're hearing
Camera's
you.
off.
Yeah,
Well,
but we're
well, I'm
hearing
trying.
you.
Well, it's the thing. I don't know why it's not on, but because it's not showing for the camera to actually come on.
It was on before, so there's something that looks
I
like
wouldn't
a
want you to
camera
trouble it
symbol.
right now, Brother Cleo.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Can you see me now?
Not yet. You just need to touch the camera symbol. It's got a red line through it at the moment.
Got a red line through the camera.
Yeah, it's got a red line through the camera symbol. If you touch it, it'll come on.
Let's see here. Let's see. I don't see the red Campbell symbol on here.
Yeah.
I thought it didn't have a camera at all on here. Let's see here. What can I do?
Before you came on, before you went live, we could see. There you are. Yeah, we can see you now. Awesome.
You can see me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So just position the camera now so that there's less headroom. Position. Yes. That's and get yourself comfortable. Yeah. Don't touch the mute button. Don't touch the camera button. And you'll be good.
Is that okay?
Well, we're seeing another
okay.
test because it's a bit low. No, yeah, we're seeing that's it. Yeah, that's better. That's much better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got there. Fantastic. So as you can see, family, I've got both my guests in the house. And so what that means is we're rearing to go. Okay, you've moved your camera, Brother Cleo. And so we're just a little bit too close. But it's okay. Yeah. That's better. If you can keep it there, just keep it there, steady, or somehow steady it, will be good. Okay, so let's go straight into the introductions. And while we're doing the introductions and each of you introduce yourself, I'll be backstage. Well, not going anywhere, but I'm going to be posting behind the scenes. So I'm going to be grabbing the link and posting it to the family. So first of all, let's start with you, Brother Gill. You are the third Assistant President General of the UNIA. Please introduce yourself to the Sister Shanice Show family.
Thank you, Sister Shanice, for giving us this space to bring voices, lend voices to UNIA's whirlwind that is growing stronger and stronger all over the world. Right. My name is Emerson Gill. I am in Belize. I am the third Assistant President General, supporting all President General you see on the screen, President Cleophus.
Okay, Brother Cleo, your audio
I have to say, the lawful and legal President General of and him.
You're going in and out. Okay. I can't hear you.
Yeah, Brother Cleo, your audio is going in and out for some odd reason.
For some innocent reason, mine is going in and out. I don't know why.
And you've frozen now. Brother Cleo has frozen. So let's start. Sorry, Brother Cleo. I mean, Brother, oh my dear, I'm getting the names wrong. Brother Gill has now frozen. So, oh, here he is. Right, Brother Gill, your audio was going in and out, and then you froze for a little while. Let's start again.
I don't know why.
Okay.
If President Cleo's audio is good enough, let's introduce President Cleo.
Let's allow President Cleo to go first. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Welcome, President Cleo. President Cleo, he is the President General himself of the UNIA based in Belize. Please introduce yourself to the sister.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm sorry for all of the things that are actually happening, inconveniences and stuff that we're having right here. But I've got a little slight eye problem, and hopefully it's going to get cleared pretty soon. I'm located in Cleveland, Ohio. My name's Cleophus Miller Jr., and I am the sixth successful leader in the UNIA behind the Honourable Marcus Garvey and the UNIA 1929 of the world. So it is a pleasure and an honor for me to be here today. And when I say the UNIA 1929 of the world, I'm saying that because the organization was split into three different factions. Well, actually, it has three birthdays. It was founded in 1914, 1918 incorporated, and 1929 incorporated. I'm on that last leg of the last succeeding President General behind the Honourable Marcus Garvey. So I had to say it that way so people can understand and know. And as we talk a little bit more, we'll get a little bit more into the history of the organization so you can understand and know it a little bit better.
Oh, we're excited to hear from you, my brother Cleo, because obviously the USA was where Marcus Mosiah Garvey had his largest following, was it not? I think he had the most UNIA branches.
Yes, you're correct. At that time, it was the largest minority organization or similar in the world, and having over 4 million members or more during that time.
Wow.
So we just had a little hiccup, and we're in the stage of coming back and taking our rightful place where we need to be.
Yes, indeed. Please do. We need the UNIA today. And we'll talk about why the UNIA is important for us today in a little while. Let's go back to our brother Gill and see if we can hear from him now. Rise up, brother Gill.
Well, the why that is so vitally important. Historically, UNIA, as was mentioned just now, is and has been the largest community-based Black organization globally. It still is. And I say that because I will take advantage of the fact that it is the red, black, and green that flies over Pan-African movement in Europe, in the United States, on the continental Africa. And I can say that this red, black, and green flag is celebrated on national flags on the continent of Africa. So with that said, signifies the importance of Marcus Garvey and the legacy that he has given us, which is the national flag of the Black nation globally.
Yes.
And I thank you for that question because it sure made me feel good saying all of that.
Okay, so please introduce yourself to our audience. We weren't able to hear.
I can't hear it now. It seems like the speaker or something is going off. I can't hear anything now.
We're hearing you.
We're hearing
hear
you,
me?
so don't worry.
Yeah.
I can't hear you all for some
Okay.
reason.
Okay.
Okay. You want me to introduce myself again?
No, not you, Brother Gill.
Well, I am
please,
I am Emerson Guild. I'm Emerson Guild. I am in Belize.
Yeah. Hold it just 1 second, please, Brother Gill. Brother Cleo, can you hold your camera steady, please, and just don't touch any of the
put it down
buttons.
somewhere where it's steady, Brother Cleo. Find a spot and just put it down
and leave
so
it
that
there.
you don't have to hold it. Like that's gonna be a while. You're gonna be holding that.
Well, you know, let me try to get something where I can stationary this camera so I don't have to be holding it.
All right, and try not to touch any buttons. I'm just going to put you in a waiting room in the meantime. Okay, all right.
So yes, like I said, I'm Emerson Guild. I am the third Assistant President General responsible for Central America, South America, and the Caribbean, all of the affairs of the UNIA. This is kind of a new situation because as we speak, the UNIA has now convened the High Executive Council, and it has also convened things that is confirming the positions and the goals that is being set for the contemporary age. Now, UNIA has had, like the President General shared just a while ago, quite a bit of controversy. Belize and a legacy of Isaiah Emmanuel Martin is one of the main controversies. In 1923, Isaiah Emmanuel Martin died and quitted his estate, or 90% of his estate, for the UNIA to develop an African redemption program. At the time when he does this,
we lost a little bit of that. Who was it that passed away? When did they pass away? And you said that they left their estate.
1923.
1923.
24.
Who? 24.
Yes, he died in 1920.
Yeah, who did? Your audio's chipping in and out, unfortunately. Who died in 1924 and willed their estate to the UNIA?
Yes, he willed his estate to the UNIA for an African redemption program to be realized. Now, I don't think even the Belizeans understand the magnitude or importance of a Belizean who is at that time the richest Black man in this region, and is called by Marcus Garvey the coconut Central America. We have not grasped yet that this glory that Isaiah left for an African redemption program created quite a scare for the colonial masters.
I bet it did.
I mean, it created quite a scare because Isaiah, being this wealthy Black billionaire with an Afrocentric philosophical orientation, is now connected to the most flamboyant Black leader on the planet Earth at that time. And they are talking about redeeming Africa and Africans globally. That scare creates court cases, 12 to be exact in Belize, where they keep bouncing this case from court to court because they are saying that Isaiah's will is an illegal document. It is an illegal document because Africans are not people. It is an illegal document, and it is then legally presented as an illegal document by Judge Cisner in his judgment that Isaiah Martyr's will cannot be allowed to serve African redemption purpose. Can you imagine that? But what we've been able to do over time is, and we have to thank the first Assistant President General who has been consistent in all of these at the United Nations level and at the conferencing with the Vatican and the conference, World Council of Mayors and the World Council of Churches, and all of these different agendas for African descendants, Black people in the United States and around the world. Because he's been able to vocalize how Marcus Garvey's written and ratified Declaration of Rights of the Negro People of the World from the convention in 1920, Madison Square Garden, how that document relates to what is happening currently. The Declaration of Rights of the Negro People of the World is one of the most important documents written and ratified by African descendants, and indigenous. It is one of the most important documents because it is written by us. It's ratified by us, some 20 plus nations at that part of the time. And it is written even before the Declaration of Human Rights, even before the United Nations is founded.
Look at that.
So we can say that it was useful to the people who would write Human Rights Declaration, which includes the former wife of a president of the United States, others. Now, how many people have seen or know about the Declaration of Rights of the People? We're going to ask you to make sure that you can have a major publication printed so that it's on your back wall, so that people can take pieces of it at different times. I'm going to ask you to be a soldier for the UNIA going on in the UNIA business. We're seeking your help, and we are going to keep you in our prayers. Stay strong. I see President Cleo Miller is back.
Yes, he's on mute though.
Unmute yourself.
I hope you know where that mute button is. I told you not to touch that phone. No, that's the rotate one. Touch that one
anyway,
again.
I will continue.
Yeah, please do.
One of the things that is pretty important to understand at this time, Marcus Garvey's UNIA has to make changes. There has to be some changes for contemporary UNIA services to the world to continue in its respectful place.
I'll put our brother back screen while he finds the unmute button. When I began, I'll have to talk about some 20 plus years ago. I remember trying to use the Liberty Hall in my country to have meetings, and it couldn't happen. Many times we had to just sit underneath the building and do our meetings outside in the yard. But we did that for quite a period of time. And I would share with other people
call themselves Garveyites, the need for us to repossess this legacy because it's ours. And for a while, we couldn't find anybody that would stand shoulder to shoulder to repossess the land.
So let me just clarify, please, Brother Guild. So the billionaire actually left the Liberty Hall in Belize to the Marcus Garvey UNIA movement. Yeah, and they even locked you all out. They claimed that the will was illegal, that he didn't have the right to leave that legacy to us as a people because we weren't human, and decided that they were gonna not even allow other people to meet in the building. Wow.
Well, that is later on. While at the heyday of the UNIA in Belize, well, we're jumping around a little bit, but I think in Belize, Marcus Garvey's UNIA is literally the mother of the nationalist movement. It is the mother of the political movement. It is the mother of the labor movement. So the importance and the significance of the UNIA remains relevant no matter which country you go to, because it has been the mother and grandmother of all of these organizations and these very necessary institutions to redeem African and the African nation. We have several people that we must give thanks and honor as I say these words. We have Vivian Wilhelmina C. We have Cleopatra White, and I will talk about them in the context of service to needy people. Cleopatra White founds the Black Cross Nurses in Belize in the same year that it is founded in the United States. Vivian Wilhelmina C., as a young child, leaves Belize to go into a foreign country to teach the English language to Spanish-speaking people during the early years of her life. She was, what did you call it, a revolutionary mind?
Before you go into that story, let's help Brother Cleo to get his camera around the right way.
Still muted.
Please touch your rotate button so you can get back around the right way. That's it. Hold it.
That's good. Now unmute yourself.
Now click the unmute button, please. It was off a little while ago, and then you touched it, and it came back on again. So there's only that's the rotate button. Not that one, the other one. Not the rotate one, the other one. With the red lines going through it. Rise up, family. We're just sorting out some technicals live on air, as you can see. You're still on mute, Brother Cleo, so you just need to touch that mute button that we were talking about earlier. Yeah, it's still on mute. You haven't unmuted yet. You've got to touch that button that looks like a microphone with a red line going through it. The same button that you sorted out earlier. Okay. All right. Well, we'll allow our
I will continue. I will continue until we hear him cut in.
Yeah, you haven't clicked the right button yet, Brother Cleo. But please do try and unmute yourself, and we'll let you know as soon as we can hear you. And then please don't touch it afterwards. Okay, because it would be good to hear from our Brother Cleo as well. No, that's the rotate button.
Brother Cleo, if you can hear me, we're going to place you back in the waiting room, and as soon as we hear your microphone come on, we'll click you back in. I will continue to try to hold the conversation until you have your voice again. Is that okay?
Okay. All righty. Try and take yourself off mute. I'm watching.
Okay, so
Oh, he's just unmuted himself. Okay, if you can hear him.
if you can hear us, come on back. You unmuted yourself again.
Oh, just muted himself again. Hope you're
We heard
enjoying
you and you
the
unmuted
fairground
yourself
round.
again.
The fairground family. We will
Okay.
get there. No, you put yourself on rotate and on mute again. So there's two buttons. No, you're still on mute. Okay,
Yeah,
keep
that's
that
the right
button.
way.
That's you're in the right position now.
Unmute now and you're good.
Now you just need to unmute. Yeah. Oh, you're not unmuting. Okay,
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
I'll put you in the waiting room. Is he going to touch
Sister
the right
Shanice,
button?
let's have him in the waiting room until we can hear him again.
Okay.
And so let me go back to UNIA and its influence my own country. The UNIA is literally that everybody would like to be hidden at current time because of its historic record.
Yes. Can you repeat that, please? Some of your words were missing just then. Everyone would like to.
UNIA in its current state is what the colonial masters want to maintain. And that is why President Cleophus Miller Jr.'s presentation is so important. I'm hoping that he should have his voice heard. What has happened over many years is the infiltration. What happened in Garvey's time, where the FBI hires its first black operative, its first black agent to infiltrate the UNIA and to sabotage UNIA's work, is something that has continued to happen on up right through to today. The colonial masters and the international political economic system understands that while Garvey was alive, well, he preached an economic program, preached a redemption program for us to redeem ourselves back to self-sustained livelihoods. And then he demonstrated it in all of the different companies that he created. Black Star Line, the labor union and labor associations that he created. Garvey was showing people how to become human again. Garvey was showing us that, in fact, we could do it ourselves. Garvey was showing that we had become the energy that had created the Industrial Revolution. And if we could do that for the international political economic system, which at that time is called, then we can sell. That is what put the fear of God in the powers that be. And that is the reason why Garvey had to be taken down and destroyed. And that is the reason why we have these insulated individuals amongst us who are serviced by the colonial masters so that their faces are the faces we see. But the work of Garvey remains hidden. The actual African redemption program remains subtle. For me, that is unacceptable, and it has put me on a quest for the past 28 years. In 28 years ago, as a youngster, we had Black people of character. We had Black people with an African consciousness and spirituality that guided them to speak in a certain way, to organize a certain way. And for that, I will now thank my Garifuna brother, Mr. Aston Flores. Mr. Aston Flores, who was a school teacher 28 years ago, and principal of a high school in Sand Creek district of Belize, spoke, and I don't think he realized it, but he spoke like TV Ramos. So let me talk about TV Ramos now. TV Ramos is the person that would create the celebrated organization that we have today called the National Garifuna Council. TV Ramos had created a chapter of the UNIA in Sand Creek district, and it is the spirit of the UNIA that creates National Garifuna Council that exists today. They don't understand the heritage that they have succeeded. This man, TV Ramos, that was a Garveyite, that was the leader of the UNIA in Sand Creek district, the spirit of Garveyism that births this cultural center and icon in that district has to be revered. And then that protege in Aston Forest that then becomes the energy to create an organization called the Central American Black Organization, tells a particular story. It tells us that we have been prepared all along. It tells us that we keep dropping the ball. It tells us that we focus on our Afrocentricity. And again, we see that while we have the Aston Forrests and the TV Ramoses and the Samuel Haynes and the Vivian C's, we see that they maintained a certain character and nature, which is missing from all paradigm today. That organization called the Central American Black Organization was at that time 5 countries, turned to 6 countries, and it's now allegedly 9 member countries. So that is growing. That is another seed of Marcus Garvey, because that is created in the image and likeness of the original image that comes out of P.V. Ramos, that the Aston Flores's could relate to, that the younger generation today has not been able to relate, because that history has been blocked. History of Garveyism and the UNIA has been ostracized. The history of the UNIA is visible in how the Liberty Hall in Belize looks. I say that because the UNIA flagship Liberty Hall building is the home of the political organizations that exist today. It's the founding space where politics in Belize is birthed. It's the founding place where activism for labor rights, human rights, and all the other inalienable rights that we should stand and defend, that's where it was ingratiated. That's where poetry described it. That's where elocution fantasies described it. And for that, the Liberty Hall in Belize is now left for all to see. Hey, Liberty Hall is falling down, except for the instances when I can raise enough money as donations and materials in itself to do repairs to that building standing up. We the people who believe and know the importance of continue to work to keep that building standing up. While we do that, though, we have been doing that in a vacuum. Nobody knows we're doing it. Nobody wants to talk about us doing it. Most people are afraid to even say Liberty Hall, except for those who are encouraged by the status quo. I say that because right now we have a former president of the UNIA that is encouraging a person to maintain total disrespect of the UNIA. In fact, we cannot establish our offices there right now because we have this former president that says he's still the president, that says he has the control and gives the control to somebody who lives selfishly in the UNIA's kingdom or palace and is totally stopping progress of the UNIA services, Black and Indigenous. But that is not unique to Belize. It is happening in Jamaica. It has happened in Nicaragua. It has happened in Costa Rica, where they've burnt the Liberty Hall down, and we don't know why. The Liberty Hall, the biggest Liberty Hall in the world, was in Costa Rica. And that Liberty Hall mysteriously burnt years ago. And I have to commend the UNIA members because they are right now raising $10 million to build a Liberty Hall that will become again center of UNIA.
So Brother Gil, clearly, you know, even like 100 years since Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the establishment fears his legacy so much. And, you know, even just the halls that he's left behind, that they put their agents in them, they've allowed them to occupy it, refused to give you and the organization a title for those buildings, and are still doing all that they can to ensure that the UNIA as a political movement doesn't get off the ground. And it's not just happening in Belize, as you said, it's happening to many of the Liberty Halls around the world. Wow. Let's see if we can, let's try and admit Brother Cleo and see if he's managed to find the mute button. Oh no, he still hasn't got the mute button. Welcome back, Brother Cleo.
Brother Cleo, can I give some advice? Can you have your neighbor come over and seat you with your camera and microphone in the right place? I think you need that help because you will frustrate yourself trying to see something in your blindness. And we're not going anywhere. We're going to wait. So take your time and be safe while you're moving between your house and your neighbor's house.
Okay. So we're not hearing you, Brother Cleo, because you're still on mute, unfortunately. So as Brother Guild has suggested, you might need to get some help to find that mute button so that we can hear from you. So we'll put you back in the waiting room until you manage to find that mute button and get shown where it is. And you're also the wrong way up at the moment. All right, so I'm going to go over to the audience now and get some interaction from our live audience. I'll put Brother Cleo in the waiting room, and hopefully you can, you know, find that mute button because we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you, my brother. Okay, let's put our beloved brother in the waiting room. And we also want to hear from our family. Yeah, wow, we've been having some technicals today, family, but you know, we're trying, as you can see, we're trying nevertheless. So I want to rise up everybody in the house. Let's see what conversations is going on in the chat. Hey, Sister Afro-Jamo is in the house talking about Dr. Umar Johnson. What you say? Dr. Umar Johnson has a lot of knowledge, and I used to watch him a lot. But his repetitive sentences got to me. Okay, so they're having a separate conversation there about Dr. Umar Johnson, who's doing great works out there. Blue Zodiac's in the house. Welcome, welcome, says Greetings, Empress Shanice. Would it be possible to invite Dr. Umar Johnson on your panel one evening? Oh, that's why he came up. In the near future, he would set the evening on fire. You know what? It would be awesome to have Dr. Umar Johnson, but I don't think my platform is big enough for Dr. Umar. I mean, he is phenomenal. His contact details are out there. I'll certainly make the request. I'll let him know that my audience would like to hear from him, but that he's not to repeat himself too much. For Sister Afro-Jammer to say. And you never know. He might say yes, who knows? Rise Up, doing the Garvey TV is in the house as well. It says, tell my brother Emerson Siddiqui said, said, peace. Okay. Tell my brother Emerson Siddiqui said, peace. Ask, is his flag the one that he sent you? Okay, so we've got doing Garvey TV in the house, and Brother Siddiqui is rising you up. Brother Kwame Aboje is in the house as well, and so is Mondele. Yenge Lumbu. Yeah, no, Yenge Pimpa Kiambote. Beloved Mondele. Yes, greetings, brothers and sisters. We've got the Congo leopard in the house. Rise up, rise up. Mikey Simba's in the house saying skin folk don't mean kinfolk. Indeed. Be on guard. Definitely. Isn't that, you know, we just, what is the matter with us as a people? We're so easily, well, not all of us, some of us are just so easily bought. You know, just imagine where we could be right now if we were all to stick to the program on agenda and not allow others, you know, to buy us out. Oh, rise up, Brother Leon in the house. He's saying, greetings, Sister Shanice and guests, and to everyone on the platform. Brother Kimani's in the house saying, Mahat Hotep, black at you, Brother Kimani. Rise up yourself. Sister Sharon's in the house saying, greetings, Sister Shanice, actually caught alive and got a notification. Woo, okay, fantastic. It is the new bogus Labour government. Love how you are helping and informing our community. Thank you so much. She said, where Dr. Abu there? I know. Okay, you want to see Dr. Abu back in the house? I'm going to call him and ask him, see if he got some time for us, okay? Rise our Sister Sharefest as well. Bigging up each and every one, and bigging up Dr. Abu as well, saying enough respect to all. So family, if you've got a question to our guests so far, please do drop your questions in the house, and we thank you for the greetings from around the world as well. We much appreciate your greetings. Rise up, Brother Mikey, in the house as well. We appreciate your greetings, Sister Afro-Jammer, watching from Ghana. Great to have you in the house, Brother Kimani. Yeah, each and every one of you, thank you. Let me see if I'm finding any questions. And sincere apologies for the technicals, you know, because, yeah, we're in that technical age, but sometimes, you know, our elders, they are, you know, not so up with the technicals. So that is a challenge that we're having. We've got Goddess Warriors in the house as well. Good to have you in the house. Yes, yes. All right. Yes, Kwame saying, Brother Umar Ifatunde, unapologetic soldier and Pan-Africanist. Absolutely. Yeah, rising up, each and every one of you, Blue Zodiac. Doctor, yeah, okay, brilliant. Now, we've been hearing quite an interesting bit of background there, family, from our brother Guild, about the UNIA situation in Belize. Can you believe it that we were actually left a building in the will by a black millionaire, and the government of Belize decided, well, these people are not going to get the building. Why? Because they're not human. These people who just crawled out the cave a few days ago, compared to our history, on all fours, with no language, no culture, no history, no nothing, met us as humans. We humanized them, civilized them, taught them a language, gave them a culture, gave them everything that they have today to boast about, and they want to turn around and say that we were not humans. You know, they might have been able to get away with that during the dark days of our enslavement, but we are a woke generation now. We know our history. Even earlier today, Brother Gills, on my radio show, we were talking about the Songhai Empire, the great Songhai Empire, which, as you know, was just one of many empires that existed in Africa. But what these people have tried to do is to smash the evidence of those great empires to smithereens, to try and, use the fact that the evidence of those great empires no longer exists, as evidence to suggest that we didn't have a history. But, we only need the stones. We only need the graves. We only need, fragments of the city walls, and then our ancestors just filling in those stories. I mean, this is absolutely shocking. And then you said that there's someone actually living in Liberty Hall in Belize right now, even though you're financing the repairs, etc. They're living there and refusing to leave. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's
Not only are they living there, but they're being encouraged by a former president.
Wow, wow. A former president. So clearly
that speaks to the Trojan horse in our midst. It speaks to the kinds of disrespect that the powers that be hold for even a resurgence of the organization in the East.
Yeah.
Okay. Currently, with the convening of the UNIA's High Executive Council, which I am now a member as well, that has forced Belize to begin to bring into effect UNIA affairs. Now, the UNIA affairs is not only the Liberty Hall building. At one time, it was 110 square kilometers of land, plus some 40 to 60 developed pieces of real estate. Homes.
Okay. I need you to repeat that for us, please, because your line is cutting in and out. So in Belize, you're saying not only is there Liberty Hall, which was left to the people by this millionaire, but the people of the UNIA in Belize also own how many?
210 square kilometers of land.
210 square kilometers of land, yes.
And keys, some islands.
And islands.
Right. Which we don't know what has been pilfered or squandered or what part of the estate has been sold off by previous presidents and skullduggery that happened between the writing of Isaiah Martyr's will, judgment of Judge Cisnet, and the appellate court turning over Judge Cisnet's decision and awarding the UNIA its legacy in 1942-43. So what we're seeing here is the continuing forces that is making sure that the Liberty Hall falls down or is burned. So we hope that will not happen. And also the skullduggery of individuals continue to misrepresent their authority concerning the UNIA's properties left for African redemption.
Wow. Now, so let me ask you a question. I mean, it's brilliant that the people of Belize are actually keeping tabs on UNIA property and land, that belongs to the UNIA. I wonder to what extent, the UNIA owns land and properties in various parts of America, Europe, the Caribbean, that today we just don't know about.
Exactly what I'm saying. I have walked on property for the UNIA in Nicaragua, where just the posts for the buildings are still there. The building is gone. So there is a constant erasure of this historic record.
Wow.
Now, we're talking cultural intelligence, and we're also talking about the historic record. We're talking physical and spiritual here. intangible and tangible cultural heritage. Now, can you imagine if we were to ask the people in all of these areas on the world to find their Liberty Halls where it used to exist?
Yeah, we've got a Liberty Hall in the UK. We've got a Liberty Hall in the UK, but how many of us know who the real owners of that Liberty Hall is? How many, if we were to investigate that, would we have to get a lawyer on the case? We might find that's our building. Do you have any idea the difficulty that we as Black organisations have trying to find a building to organise, trying to find a building, to hold an event? And I'm finding out here that we may actually own buildings. I've always suspected this, but just never had the evidence of it because I know that there were many very wealthy Africans that lived in Britain and across Europe. And they were owners of estates, owners of land, owners of buildings and businesses, and many of them had a conscience. Some of them, were part of the UNIA movement, Amy Jacks Garvey, Amy Ashford Garvey, they had premises in the UK, Harold Moody, and CLR James, Padmore, many of them, I'm sure would have left something behind for the community. I mean, I think you're going to be sending us all on a bit of a history trail here to find out, to find our Liberty Halls and what else the Garveyite movement have actually left as a legacy for us that we have been denied.
Well, there are some things that we are going to need to put in place. One is going to be a cadre of international lawyers that will stand up for us in all of the courts of the world to reclaim the legacy of UNIA. That is something I'm hoping your audience will hear. I'm hoping there are attorneys, legal minds that are listening to us right now.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Kindly share your information with Sister Shanice. Sister Shanice can in turn share with us so that we can begin to mount the defense and claim the defense of Marcus Garvey's legacy, one side, and lay claim to the legacy in a particular way that we can begin to reveal these estates and read the legacy that exists. There is some other things that we also need to do. We also need to begin to expose, because just over the last few days, we have had to expose the skullduggery in Belize and literally called out names and called out people who have been wearing Garvey's face and cloak, but are acting as neo-colonials.
Okay, let's just let our brother know that we can see him and hear him now. We've got a new name on there, Stacey Miller. So
that's my wife. I use her computer.
Oh, okay. Was that your wife that we just saw? With her
No. That was a neighbor.
Oh, that was a neighbor.
You get a lot of help, PG.
I'm glad. I'm not gonna hit any buttons or anything. Touch anything now. So
don't touch anything. Yeah.
Brother Cleo, I was just making reference to yesterday for me being a sad day in Belize because I had to finally knock the nail on the head and call out the people who are calling themselves Garveyite, but are literally neo-colonial operatives in our midst, in the name of David Obi, the former president, and in the name of Mr. Wilford Felix, is the person that is taking residency with a letter from the former president. I was just talking about that. But you have the whole story of the UNIA and all these different factions who have defrauded Garvey and the UNIA's legacy. I
Yes.
believe I would like to hear you tell that story.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
please
Can you all see me? Is the light?
See you and hear you. Don't worry. Don't touch nothing.
Don't touch anything because I can't hardly see you all. So I'll just talk. Okay.
please
And,
do.
and I apologize again. This has been a journey. It's been it's more than a notion trying to get this done, but we're gonna get it done today. Okay, and let's go back where I earlier when I talked about the three different birth dates of the UNIA. And
Yeah, I think you need to start from the beginning, my brother, because we didn't catch anything that you said before. So
Tell
take
the
it from
world who you are once more
okay,
and how
great.
you succeeded to that place.
Yes. Okay. Again, my name's Cleophus Miller Jr. I am the sixth President General of the UNIA, founded by the Honourable Marcus Garvey. And as I said before, the UNIA has three birth dates, and it was founded in 1914, moved from Jamaica to New York in 1918, and then after Marcus Garvey was in prison and went to jail, came back to Jamaica in 1929 and incorporated because members of the organization had actually put him out because he had a prison record. So now 1914 was defunct, had gone out of business. Marcus Garvey went to New York in 1918 and incorporated the University Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. And then in 19, so here's the thing that a lot of people, because there's a lot of names going out there, people in the rehabilitating committee, and we'll get to what the rehabilitating committee is a little later on, but at this time you got two organizations running. You got 1918 and 1929. 1914 had gone defunct. So again, as I say, when Marcus Garvey went to prison it was in 1924, I think it was something along that line, and then he got out, and the members of the organization at the time said that because he had been in prison, that he could no longer be the president general of the organization. So what he did was say, okay, y'all can keep it, and he didn't say it just like that, but he left very disgruntled and disturbed, and went back to Jamaica and founded the UNA in 1929. Now, there was only two legitimate organizations that were incorporated during that time. That was at 1918 and 1929. So there's a story that's tied in with Emerson here as well during the time. During the time before Marcus Garvey went back and founded in 1914, this is where the first split came up in 1929 when they put Marcus Garvey out the organization. And there was a lawsuit that was going on at the time too that happened to deal with a very known hero in Belize named Isaac Mortar. And Isaac Mortar had left a large estate to the UNIA at the time, and Marcus Garvey had indicated that Isaac Mortar had left that estate to him to administer, to manage. But the people in 1918, members in 1918, said no, that he had left it to the organization. So they went to court about that, and Marcus Garvey lost the case. So what actually happened? There is a split. Half of the members in 1918 went with Marcus Garvey in 1929. And then so you got 1918 and 1929 operating together. So Marcus Garvey goes on to Jamaica, and he created 1929. Now, at the time when he created 1929, 1929 was an unincorporated association. So you hear a lot of people talking about they're members of the UNIA Inc. They're members of the UNIA in 1918. They said they're members of the unincorporated association. And then they said, you hear them say they're members of 1929. But these are the people of the rehabilitating committee. And the rehabilitating committee was a group of people that they came about in the 1950s. And so we'll talk about that too. But I'm trying to give you the history from this standpoint. So half the people who stayed in 1918, half came to Marcus Garvey in 1929. So when Marcus Garvey passed away in 1940, then James Stewart became the second assistant president general of the organization. So he served out the remaining time of Marcus Garvey's presidency. And then when he became president general in 1940, because Marcus Garvey passed away in 1940, then he in turn moved the world headquarters from Jamaica, from New York, and moved it to Cleveland, Ohio, and incorporated it as the UNA 1929 of the world. So that, and he did that in 1942. So that unincorporated association that people are talking about in 1929 in Jamaica was actually in 1929 that it incorporated in 1942 in Cleveland, Ohio. So there's no longer an organization called the Unincorporated Association. You had 1918 operating, 1929 operating. So I hope I'm not going too fast for you. Are you hearing me? Okay.
I don't think so. I think that's fine. So the 29 that was unincorporated was incorporated in 1942. 42, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So,
So they're both incorporated now. Mm-hmm.
So both are incorporated. So there's no such thing. So now only two at the time that was incorporated was 1918 and 1929. So now we have we're dealing with James Stewart. James Stewart became president general of the organization, and then there was a dispute in 1954 after Marcus Garvey had passed away. There were some disgruntled members of the organization who thought that James Stewart was not taking care of Marcus Garvey's wife, because it was said that he was supposed to have taken care of her, which he was taking care of her, but there was some inner things that stopped it. But what actually happened, there was a split during that time. As a matter of fact, the people with Marcus Garvey's wife, the second wife, Amy Jock Garvey, and Thomas Harvey, one of the students of the UNA and the Marcus Garvey School of African Philosophy, they tried to change the name of the organization from the UNIA to the Universal African Improvement Association, and to try to make the organization like a royalty or a king, as if the Marcus Garvey family owned the organization. They had took up residence in Philadelphia and called Philadelphia their world headquarters, and they sought out to be the UNIA. So and they took the building from the division in 121 in Philadelphia. And so Philadelphia group took them to court, and they sued them. And they sued them and got control of the organization of the building and stuff. Then also the Cleveland division was the world headquarters, which they had actually became members of. And let me digress a little bit here, because we have to still deal with the Belize part, because there was a split because of Isaac Martyr. There was the gentleman who was the president general of 1918 moved that the 1918 headquarters to Belize. And so what he did is, the monies and everything was there. When the money and stuff was gone and squandered and the organization went defunct, then the other part of the members of 1918 came over to 1929 to follow in the footsteps of James Stewart and Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So now we can go back to that part. So now you got one whole organization, because people are talking about there was a split. There is no split. Because the merger came in 1929, and the remainder came in 1954. I think it was during that time. So there now the only facet that you split that you got is you got the rehabilitating committee, and you got the UNIA 1918-1929, which informed in 1929 in Cleveland, Ohio. And so what actually happened during that time, because they had lost the lawsuit, the rehabilitating committee with Thomas Harvey and Amy John Garvey, they lost the case, and the courts told them they had to give the building stuff back to Division 121, and then they had formed what they call a rehabilitation committee. So they came back in to work under Stewart, only for a minute, to get credibility, and they get the courts and stuff off their backs. So later on, they went back out and started doing the same thing that they were doing, with the rehabilitating committee, trying to bring the staggering membership of chapters that would believe in them. But after James Stewart passed away, the President General after James Stewart was James Bennett. After James Bennett, it was Vernon Wilson. After Vernon Wilson, it was Mason Hargrave. Then after Mason Hargrave, it was me, came in. But during Vernon Wilson's time as President General of the organization, that's when the rehabilitating committee under Thomas Harvey picked up steam. And that was in Youngstown, Ohio. They had a meeting to try to merge the rehabilitating committee with the UNIA. And so they came to an agreement where they were supposed to take 1 year, and then after that 1 year, decide who's going to be they came over rules and how they're going to do it, and find out who would, and have an election to find out who would actually be the leader of the organization. Now, Vernon Wilson was a true legitimate President General. The other guys were not. Thomas Harvey was not at the time. But that didn't last because the people that were in Thomas Harvey's camp broke the agreement, and so Vernon Wilson declared the agreement null and void, and said he was not going to let the rehabilitating committee come in. So they went back and had their own little meeting anyway, and called themselves the UNIA, as opposed to the rehabilitating committee. So as time went on, after Vernon Wilson passed away, then Mason Hargrave became the President General. And at that time, Mason Hargrave was the one who fought and went before Congress to try to get Marcus Garvey exonerated. And when Mason Hargrave passed away, and then in the convention they voted me as President General of the organization. This is the second half of the story that comes about as we move to today, which people who are involved in, they're dealing with people that were part of the rehabilitating committee and have changed their names 4 or 5 different times, and the courts have told them that they're not a true legitimate organization. As a matter of fact, we had to trademark the name of the organization back in 2012. We incorporated the organization to legitimize who we were, and that anybody that's actually a member or calling themselves a member of the organization that is not a member of the UNA 1918, 1929, following false prophets, people who are calling themselves something that they're not. As a matter of fact, when we trademarked the name of the organization back in 2012, the people in the rehabilitating committee, which was under that time, because and I can give you a list of all those President Generals who were in the rehabilitating committee too.
Please name them.
Excuse me?
Please name them.
Okay, if we go back to the start of the rehabilitating committee, they had William Sherrill, who was the first assistant President General underneath of Marcus Garvey in the 1918. He was when Marcus Garvey went to jail, he was the one that was carrying on for the UNIA in 1918. But he was somehow or another, Marcus Garvey and him got into an argument or whatever. So he did actually expelled him from being the assistant president general during that time. So he came over to the rehabilitating committee and working with Thomas Harvey. So and then William Sherrill got sick, and he was no longer able to work with the rehabilitating committee. So Thomas Harvey took his place. And so I told you a little bit about what Thomas Harvey and Vernon Wilson doing. But when Thomas Harvey passed away, Then Charles L. James came in to be the President General of the Rehabilitating Committee. Now, Charles L. James was one that the second Assistant President General, James Stewart, had banned him for life for treason and insubordination among the organization. And anytime people get thrown out the organization, whatever, they go to that Rehabilitating Committee to gain fame or to keep going on. But he was not supposed to hold any office or anything for life in the UNA under the banning of James Stewart, the second President General. So Charles James is the President General, and it was and this is during the time that I became President General, and so I met with Charles L. James to talk to him about merging the organizations. This is after Mason Hargrave had passed away, but he didn't want to hear it. He thought that that they were the ones, because they had recruited a little bit more members in the UNA than we did under false pretenses and stuff. So he didn't want to talk. So when Charles James passed away, then you had Reginald Maddox became the President General of the UNIA. And Reginald Maddox and I, we had a good little conversation talking, and we came to an agreement similar to what Thomas Harvey and Vernon Wilson had come to. But he said, but we didn't get that far, and we said we were waiting because he was finishing Charles L. James' time out. He said we will wait until the following year, and then if everything goes well and things are moving forward, we'll sit down and talk about it. But he never made it to the following year because of Marcus Garvey Jr. What happened was people thought that they would get in the Rehabilitating Committee would get a bigger push of bigger people supporting them because of Marcus Garvey Jr. So Marcus Garvey Jr. Well, actually, you might say he's the third because Marcus Garvey himself was a junior, so he was the third. So he stayed in for about 10 or 11 years, so I'm told, and but he left the organization. When he left the organization, then you had Maddox. What was his name? Not Maddox. I'm sorry. Reginald Maddox was for Marcus Garvey Jr. The gentleman, God, to be more, Redmond Battle. I'm sorry. Redmond Battle came into the organization after Marcus Garvey Jr. and became the President General of the Rehabilitating Committee. And so he had a little, Emerson knows a little bit about him because Emerson put a note or something out during that time about the land in Isaac Martyr Estate and was seeking for the rightful heir to the UNA to come and claim it during that time. Right? And that was the gentleman that I just told you.
It is at that time that he comes to Belize.
Redmond Battle, yes.
Redmond Battle, Sangor Jawa Bay.
Yeah, they came.
Henry Bota, Sama Cook, Farouk Mohammed, and one other person. I can't remember.
Yeah, but those are the ones that were actually calling themselves. They changed it. They were the ones that were instrumental in using more than one name. Because at the time when they came to Belize to inquire about the land, they were calling themselves the UNIA 1929 of the world. But when they got to Belize, they found out the land was left to 1918. Then there was another contingent came in and called themselves 1918. So you got those two. So the one that came in claimed themselves to be 1918 that had made up some, had false credentials and stuff, presenting themselves there, but they came back to 1929 with me to try to merge with us so it'd be one organization. But Sangor Bay went back came back to Washington, D.C., and they in turn sought to take that 1918 group down and took them to court and had a court order against them saying that they were not the UNA and that they were. So that court order lasted very shortly because they came in and be a part of 1929. So we did a different lawsuit in Washington, D.C., and then the Washington D.C. courts said that they were not 1918 or 1929. That the world headquarters of the organization was in Cleveland, Ohio, under the administration of me, Cleophus Miller Jr. So now, what actually happened during that time, we left that stage and we went, and that was during the time that we and actually incorporated and trademarked the name of the organization. So what Senator Garvey and them did was change the name. They were no longer calling themselves 1929, or they were not even calling themselves 1918. They're calling themselves the government of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. So and there has never been an organization called the government of the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, or African Communities League that Marcus Garvey created. So they carried on, and I put notices and different things that nature going in and out of courts, and they would run back and forth in various courts and stuff. And the courts would say that they didn't want to get involved in domestic affairs and stuff. But in order to keep from being sued, they would move and change their names as it presented or as they needed. So it got to a point now where they had an election with with Senator Garvey. Well, actually, before Senator Garvey passed away, the next president general after Redmond Battle was Wally Mujee, who was there only a half of a year. I sat down to talk to him as well and told him that we needed to bring the organizations and stuff together. And I don't know what it is when people get in a position with the rehabilitating committee, they thought they had more power than what they really were. And they didn't really want to sit down and negotiate or talk about it, only to find out later when they were not in a position, there were people plotting against them, they threw them to the side. So I told Wally McGee that if we didn't do it now, that the same time the following year, he would not be in there as the president general of that rehabilitating committee because Senator Garvey was campaigning against him, and sure enough, the following year, they voted Wally Mujee out. Senator Garvey became the president general of the organization, and so he grew and did a lot of things that was wrong. After the election time came about again, then there was a deal that was supposed to be done between Senator Garvey and another gentleman by the
Michael
name of
Duncan.
Michael Duncans. Michael Duncan had pledged that he was not going to be running for the President General Rehabilitating Committee, but he wound up doing it and have a right in name. So they voted him in as President General, and he sort of backslid Senator Garvey to a certain degree, and so he became President General of that Rehabilitating Committee, or the one they were calling the government of the UNIA. And so once that happened, Senator Garvey and his contingent, they got frustrated and angry. Now they created another name for the UNA. They called it RB
Uh,
21X or something along that. RB 21 or 2021 or something along that line.
yeah.
And that was a rehabilitation.
RC 2021.
Yes, RC 2021. So there was another rehabilitating committee that was there to rehabilitate the committee that they just got kicked out of. So that's where we are today in terms of these different groups. Now, Michael Duncan,
PG,
yes,
I think that puts that story in line. I would like you to tell the world about the contemporary stuff. I would like you to talk about the economic fair and the different things that were in the plans before Woolsey died.
excuse me,
those are the kinds of things that I believe our young and up and coming members need to know that is in the pipeline.
Yeah, thank you. Just to say that that was really important history as well,
Yes,
Brother Cleo. Wow, you've taken us over,
I hope I didn't talk too fast.
No, because we can always rewind this and listen back to it because, there's a lot of us here in the UK who would call ourselves Garveyites, love Marcus Mosiah Garvey and everything that he stood for and the messages that he said. But, you're actually telling us about the politics now around the UNIA that I think many people here in the UK and maybe other parts of the world, was totally unaware of. Can I ask a question? You mentioned his son, Marcus Mosiah Garvey Jr. I mean, where did he stand in all of this? Because he's still around today. What's his position in
No, he's
this?
not. He's passed away.
There's a Marcus Garvey Jr.
But
Marcus,
there's Julius
okay,
Garvey,
okay.
which is his other son, Julius
His
Garvey.
other son. Well, there's another son. So, okay,
Julius,
so that Marcus Garvey Jr. was another son who was involved in
okay,
UNIA.
okay. You got Marcus Garvey, the father.
Yeah.
You got Marcus Garvey, and he's the Marcus Garvey Senior. You got Marcus Garvey, the one that's founded the UNIA, who is a junior. Then you got the Marcus Garvey the third, which is the one who became a president general of the Rehabilitating Committee. And so now he had two sons. He had Julius Garvey and Marcus Garvey the third. Marcus Garvey the third passed away. Julius Garvey is
Julius Garvey,
who's still living. Now,
yeah.
the history behind that is that when they were young, growing up, they were not a part of the organization. They were not a part of his dad because his mother and father were separated a lot, and Marcus Garvey stayed on the road a lot, so they didn't grow up behind their father. So they hated the UNIA. They had during their youth years, they had nothing ever to do with the UNIA. It was only when Marcus Garvey the third was voted in as the president general of the Rehabilitating Committee back during that time that they have something to do with it. Even today, Julius Garvey is living off his father's name. He's never wanted to have anything to do with the UNIA. He shied away from the UNIA. The only reason he may talk about it now would be with their Rehabilitating Committee because they accepted him in there, and he's taking advantage of his father's name to this day. But they had their own ideas, their own initiatives and stuff, but they were not a part of the UNIA.
Mm. And this rehabilitating committee, they're the ones that have renamed themselves now government of the UNIA.
Yeah, they're called. They're called. You have to understand what they're doing now. What they'll do is they'll call on their websites or whatever from their standpoint, or when they're recruiting people, they'll say that they are the Universal Negro Improvement Association. But when it comes to other affairs or something along that line, they get in trouble when they face us. Then now they're no longer the Universal Negro Improvement Association. They're the government of the UNIA. And just recently in Belize, in Philadelphia, we had a court case. They had a court case again with Division 121, which Michael Duncan came in and called himself the unincorporated association of the organization, got a courts and stuff, court orders and stuff, and we're going to have to go back and deal with that issue. But
obviously, I mean, all these court appearances, all these challenges, it just detracts, doesn't it, from the main of the UNIA? I mean, where does the UNIA, from your perspective, stand right now?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. We understand and know that, and I'm tired of going around and trying to go in and out of the courts. And as Emerson said before, it is time for us to bring all Garvey, true Garveyites and people together. We got too much business going on to do today. So what we're doing is because we got tired of doing that, and we had to do the same thing that James Stewart did. We had to expel some people out of the organization for life because of false pretenses and stuff. And we realized that a lot of those people in the Rehabilitating Committee don't follow the Constitution bylaws, don't follow the teachings of the Honourable Marcus Garvey, and they're taking and destroying a lot of great people that want to be true Garveyites. So we're in the position in the stages of reconstruction it, redoing it, bringing people in that want to truly be Garveyite and teach them the right way and teach them about what the Honorable Marcus Garvey has proposed that we do back in the day. A lot of people, they tell you that they're Garveyites. They don't even know what Garveyite is. They don't even understand what Marcus Garvey's mission was. All they're out there is up with hope, down with dope, or trying to, they're narcissists putting money and stuff in their pockets, and they're lying to the honest people who want to be, and then once these people who want to be Garveyites, when they don't do what they say, they kick them to the curb, and get somebody else and move forward from that standpoint.
This is so tragic because, you know, even while Marcus Garvey was alive, you know, he had all these saboteurs around him, didn't he? You know, those who were undermining the works of his organization.
Right.
And here we are, you know, all these years later, you know, almost 100 years later, more than 100 years since the first one was founded. And we're still in a situation where we've got saboteurs in there. I mean, from the history that you've given us, I mean, there are individuals who call themselves presidents who spent a lifetime, you know, until they died. I don't know if they thought they would live forever while they were, you know, presidents of the organization. Spent a lifetime, you know, fighting and infighting and splits and arguments. And they're no longer here. And you know, instead of building the organization, and of course, you know, there's agents in there everywhere, and they're the ones who are sabotaging the works. It's just always difficult, I suppose, to pick out who the agents and the saboteurs actually are.
Well, you know, today we know exactly who they are. We know exactly because it's only those two groups, the RRC 21X or something like that, and the ones that call themselves the government of the UNIA under Michael Duncans. So here's the thing, you know, we got too much work to do now, and in terms of the Honorable Marcus Garvey and what he proposed to do with the organization. So you got too many other things out there, just like in the case of the United Nations. They have created a permanent form of people of African descent that was born out of the Declaration of Rights for the Negro people of the world and the UNA with the League of Nations. It is time for us, you know, as an organization to take our rightful place. It is time for us to create and train our youth, because the youth are our future. That is the most important thing right now. If we can get to them and start the organization right and recruit the right ones in, and then teach them the right way and to take our rightful places with the African governments. Because I had a meeting about 6 months ago with the new ambassador to the African, and maybe 6 or 7 months ago, with the new ambassador to the African Union. And two of the first things she told me was that first thing she said, they need the youth in Africa. They need to be educated more, need more schools and stuff. Because if we're following history, we know that the average age with the Africans children, students, are between 12 and 30 years old. They're the ones that are leading Africa right now. They're the ones that need the help, and so that's one of the things that the ambassador to the African Union asked us to do. Not only that, they wanted us to also come back and complete part of what Marcus Garvey is talking, help them get themselves together, you know, from a government standpoint, so they can create something called a United States of Africa to work like other organizations. When you look at it, we're the only race of people that does not really have a government that this government has to answer to. And so that was one of the things that Marcus Garvey first said, you know, when he traveled in the Caribbean and Central America, and saying, you know, he was looking for people of status, people or black people of status that had on their own business to be presidents or vice president or owners of big corporations and stuff. And he didn't find them. So he just said he'd come back and help to build them. Well, a lot of the things that Marcus Garvey talked about during that time has already happened. We had a black president of the United States. We got a black female a vice president of the United States, and soon possibly to be a president of the United States. We got major corporations and business. You got athletes and different things, and you got money and stuff left, right, in all kinds of ways. So now
so I'm with you in terms of our role, you know, the educational role of that really important educational role of the UNIA, and especially in terms of providing training on Marcus Garvey for the young people of Africa, and also the role on the AU in terms of helping to organize the United States of Africa. Those are two huge, very important, major roles that the UNIA needs to be engaged in. In terms of the former Black president of America, and the one to be, like someone said in the chat a little while ago, not all skin folk are kin folk. So, can we really count them? I don't think so. So, but those are really important roles, most definitely. So obviously we've heard about the politics or the politrics, the internal kind of political struggles that's happening and have been happening within the UNIA that has really kind of hampered its growth as an organization. And we've also heard, the challenges through the courts regarding premises and land and the legacy that has been left for the organization, that the organization hasn't been able to access, not only in Belize, but also in Nicaragua and possibly other parts of the world as well. There may well have been Liberty Halls, land, estates, etc., that was left to the UNIA that, today's generation probably don't know anything about, that needs to be looked into. But also very importantly now, going on to the education, rolling out a training program for the young people. Let me just stick with that for a moment. Is there already a program that maybe you've been rolling out to young people in Belize that would be suited for the people on the continent, or is this something that's got to be developed and worked on?
Well, we're in the process of developing programs. As a matter of fact, Emerson can tell you about a project that we want to work on and starting off in Belize. And I'm always getting it messed up, and and calling it something that it's not really is. But it's got the University Without Walls. That it was a program that we want to use as a model. In Cleveland, we have a program that we're dealing with youth, and it's called Family First. And it's starting from the time that person, that kid is born. There's a daycare center that they can go into and be taken care of, move out of the daycare center into the preschool, from preschool to kindergarten and the likes, all the way up into the 12th grade. And also what we're looking at is to use that as a model for other chapters and divisions. But the good thing about that also is we've got other components that chess, sports, and all that stuff involved in it as well. And we're looking and also for a model in Cleveland, because in education is a big need all around the world. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And then in Cleveland, we had the school system is under the tutelage of the mayors, and it's not just Cleveland, all other cities. Students are failing, and so one of the missions, the purpose that we want to do is to go inside and create chapters and visions and go inside of the cities and work with the cities and to find out what their needs are, especially when it comes to school. If that kid is ailing in a project or a grade or something along that line, we're going to create programs to actually boost her and help that kid to get his grades and stuff back together. So that's.
So give us an idea, please, my brother. Well, we've lost brother Cleo at the moment, but hopefully he'll come back. So give us an idea. What's the size of the organization in the American branch? Because you're the American branch, and then our other brother is Brother Guild. He's the Belize arm. So what's the size today of like the legitimate UNIA?
No. Well, see, here's the deal. Here's the deal. You got a lot of Garveyites that are here, that are part of different chapters and divisions. And what they're doing is they want to see the world headquarters come back and take its rightful place and stop all the bickering and the fighting and stuff among all. And that's what we're in the process of doing. And what we have to do, because there are so many different splits and stuff up, is to go back and retrain. Even though you have a lot of governments in different chapters, they all have to be retrained
How
to a
many
certain
chapters are there at the moment? I mean, does the
point.
HQ, any of these HQs,
It's
have
only
an
it's only
overview of how many
there
chapters there are, where they
there's
are, the size of them?
there's probably no more than about 40 or 50 chapters, in the United States now, or more, and it could be a lot more. But there's, as you said, they're all frustrated and angry with the bickering and the fighting and different things of that nature. So the thing we're going to do is do a worldwide campaign and to
Mm-hmm.
educate them and let them know that we're back and we're not going to be doing
Wow.
the things that have been done in the past. We want to move forward. We want to bring the youth and get the youth involved in this process. As a matter of fact, Emerson can tell you now, and I've told them, any position that we have a young person in training behind you. Don't just sit out and say you're gonna be that person and sit on it and don't let the growth come in. This is a growth movement. If you look around the world now, you got youth and so youth are standing out and claiming their rights and want to be a part. They don't want to be left out, but they have to be educated and trained. You have the youth and the adults. You still need the leadership from the youth to train.
Let me ask you something as well. Another question, sorry. So remind us what Marcus Mosiah Garvey's vision was for the UNIA. What was his vision and mission? And what was the mission that the UNIA ought to be on?
Well, if you look at the name, at the name of the organization, there in itself is a little word called improvement. Universal Negro Improvement Association, to improve all the social and economic conditions of the African American, Black person, whichever way you want to call them, to do that for us. And that means that from an educational standpoint, from a social standpoint, from an economic standpoint, you name it, that's what the Honourable Marcus Garvey wanted to do at home and abroad. He didn't want us to be a second-class citizens to anybody else. If somebody else has something, we should be able to have that same thing from us. We need to, because when you look at it, it's about mankind. No one race should be above the other or no less than the other. But in order to make this thing work, all races have to be able to be on an equal basis. And we are there now. And as I was trying to say earlier, it's just a matter now of bringing all these resources and all these people together under one umbrella. And that's what the African Union has tasked the UNIA or other organizations to do with the 5 regions of Africa, with the 6 regions of North America diaspora, to do these various things. And so these are things that we're looking at from that standpoint to do. But the mission and purpose, like I said, he wanted to create a United States of Africa, and he wanted to have people create businesses and to own some and come together and work together to make it happen. 75% of, well, probably about two-thirds of what his mission and purpose was has been completed. But we just got to do the other part, come together as a race of people to help create that government of Africa. Africa don't want us to come in and be like other African nations or whatever. They want to create that kinship, that relationship with the long lost brothers and cousins to come in and help teach them what we know here. There's no saying that African has as opposed to the people in North America. African calling the people in America dumb and lazy and not smart because they got all the education, while the people in America is pretty much saying Africa's got all the riches. And then they're being misusing and abusing that. So we need to cut out all that stuff, come together, work together, and make sure that we as a race of people take our rightful place in society, so no one else can say that we're any less. It's just like when that red, black, and green flag was created. They used to call us coon. You heard the coon song before? What they used to call us back in the day, and they said a people without a flag had no identity and they were less than dirt. That's why that red, black, and green flag was created. So it gave us as a people a sense of pride and dignity and made us feel important that we belong. We have arrived. That was way back there with representatives all around the world coming to create that flag and the Declaration of Rights for us as a race of people.
Yes, rise up, rise up. And so, you know, Marcus Garvey has left us in his legacy the political structure, really. The UNIA is the political structure that we ought to be looking to globally and to get all of our people, Africans at home and abroad, to sign up to. And so there would need to be chapters in each of the countries, and then within each of the countries, there would need to be sub chapters, I suppose. I would imagine there's some sort of structure there, and that we'd all feed into the HQ, and then the HQ would liaise with the African Union as a representative for the 6th region. Is that how it's supposed to work?
Well, yes, it is, but let's just don't say that we're just creating chapters. Yes, we want to create chapters and divisions because that's the backbone of the organization. But the key is not just to create that chapter. That chapter has to be able to go inside of wherever they domicile and create
and tell us, what would the role be of these UNIA or these Marcus Mosiah Garvey chapters?
That's what I was trying to before yet. That's what I was trying to explain. The thing is that we want them to come inside of the communities and stuff, and to create diplomatic relationships and stuff with city government, county government, and then also what we want them to do is get involved within the communities, find out what are the needs or in that community, whatever that need is, or there's a lack of it. We want to create programs and dialogues and stuff with them. We want to blend not only this chapter and vision with the city, we want to blend it in with businesses and stuff too, so they can teach and educate and learn them about it, and to actually have because we have, when you look at us as a race of people, we have just as much money as any other white or other race of people. We just have to be able to understand, know how to use it, how to be fruitful about it, and helping our people, and not realizing that, hey, we are entrepreneurs, and our business is just as important as yours. We're giving you our business. Vice versa, we want you to come in and support us in our business from that standpoint. So you can't be the same way. I'm only going to say I'm going to deal only with the black people, or I'm only going to deal with white people. You got to be able to. It takes both of them. White people can't survive without black people, and black people can't survive without white people when it comes from a business standpoint. So we have to educate and teach our people how to do that, but still in terms of, as I say, you help yourself before you help somebody else. But now, if there's somebody that's really in need or desire, you help that person as well. So as we
certainly need to help ourselves as a people, because there's no one helping us during these times. And I think that, as you were saying, like I was asking you about the role of the
role of
UNIA chapters now, and I think education is a very important part of that, because when you said we've got as much money as everybody else, but if we're going to be left buildings, or we're going to be left things as land, etc., as a legacy, and we can't even hold on to it, and then we're going to have our people fighting over it. I think we have to get our people's mindset right first, so that they can work together, so we can work together and pull together as people. And for millions of years we did quite fine all by ourselves. We built great kingdoms, and we had our own economic systems, we had our own trades and groups. We had different tribes who were specialists as welders, specialists in fishing, specialists in building boats and doing the river highways. We had our own civilizations and everything. So we know that as Africans, we can build nations, we can build cities, we can build kingdoms, if we were only left alone to do it, and if our people were in their right mind. Because if we're not in our right mind, then when our thoughts are not going to be right, and if our thoughts are not right, then our actions are not going to be right. And so that's the big challenge. Education is key.
Well, you said it. You said it, you know, and that's the beginning and the end in a sense.
Very
Education.
important.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when
And that's
you
what our young people want. Give them the right mindset, you know, and they can create, they can develop, they can lead, they can, you know, we'll be able to just hand over the mantle to them and they know exactly what they need to do.
Emerson,
And I think that's where the work needs to be focused going forward. And the rest should take care of itself. But to spend another 8 years or so fighting over presidency positions and
oh no,
HQs. Oh no,
no, we're not doing that. Emerson,
no.
give her your version of what you said at the end of your.
We've lost him. We've lost Emerson. Not
You
sure what
did?
happened. Maybe his battery ran out. And we are just 7 minutes away from the top of the hour now.
Okay.
So I think if he was able to come back in, he would have done.
Right.
But you've given us a fascinating history about the UNIA. I must admit, you know, I did this little handbook as a tribute to Marcus Mosiah Garvey, which talked about his accomplishments, his vision, his mission for us as a people. And I got 100 copies printed up and distributed it to young people on the continent, you know, and did presentations in a couple of schools on the continent of Africa as well. And my thinking is if I could just get a handful of people with Marcus Mosiah Garvey's mindset, you know, it would be a better tomorrow. And it's a project that I intend to continue working on as well.
Great. I appreciate that. So what? Again, you know, we're gonna do it, and I've made a promise or vow to myself for a long time ago that we're not gonna stop. We're not gonna quit until it actually happens.
Well, you know what? We would love to work with you, beloved. We would love to work alongside you on the educational program. We don't want to get drawn into, you know, the politics and the of you know the organization of the UNIA. I think that's something for the men
we don't
to
want.
sit down and talk about and negotiate over and come to an agreement on. You
Well,
know,
the thing that we know is that hey, if we just go ahead on and do the things that the Honourable Marcus Garvey said do,
this is it.
it will work itself out.
It will
It will work
absolutely.
itself out because, as you said, education is the most important. The more you go out and the more you talk about it, the more you put it
Yeah.
into the
And our
young.
young people need Garvey now. Now
Yes.
is the time, isn't it? So let me see if there are any messages for you in the chat before we close. Brother Mondele, what are you saying here? They're having a conversation about Dubois, who seems to get more credit than Garvey in Ghana. Well, we're not surprised with where Ghana's concerned. They don't even celebrate their own hero, Kwame Nkrumah, do they? Mundele says, pressure from international community, our neighbors, who because of the minerals wish us to remain at the bottom of all things. Yeah. Goddess Warrior said, I haven't went to the Marcus Garvey house yet. Okay, they're talking about a Marcus Garvey building that's apparently next door to the Dubois Center. Okay. Thank you, Darnell. Yeah, I'm feeling better than I was yesterday, that's for sure. My headache's gone, even though I'm still a bit bunged up. Let's see. Kwame Boje saying, look at that. They can build a WEB Dubois Center in Accra. But what about having a Marcus Garvey Cultural Center in Accra? Absolutely. And you see, this is why, you know, we need to be organized and we need to be putting the messages out there. Young people are doing a good job gravitating towards Kwame Nkrumah, but it was Marcus Garvey that influenced Kwame Nkrumah and so many more. And so they need to know about him as well. This is due to the language barrier and also the cultural one. Yes, indeed. You know, Mondele, I've got more work to do, haven't I? Because Mondele has very kindly organized for this tribute handbook to be translated into the Kikongo language. And I've just got to do a bit of work on it so that, you know, we can have it in that second language. It's coming, beloved. It really is coming. Before the year is out, it's coming. So I want to rise up everybody in the house. We are almost at the top of the hour now, 3 minutes away from the top of the hour. I can't see any specific questions. So let me just ask my guests to leave us with some closing remarks and tell us what would you like, to have happen from here onwards from the Sister Shanice Show platform.
Here's what I'd love for you to do. Stay in contact with us because we're going to have some great things coming out. We're redoing website. We're coming out with a new newspaper. The Negro World used to be the largest seller in the world. And so we're going to call it not the Negro World because it was banned in certain countries back in the day. But we're going to call it the Negro World. What is it? What is the name?
Chronicles. Chronicles.
Oh, there you're back. You're back.
I have to tell you, the powers that be is working on me. But I am.
We are 2 minutes away from the top of the hour. 2 minutes away from closing. But our beloved brother Cleo has given us so much information. Let me give you 1 minute of the two to just leave us with a closing remark. Our brother Cleo was saying that his closing remark was that we must stay in touch, and we're definitely going to stay in touch. Closing remark from you?
My remark is going to be a request. My remark is going to be a request to you to become a Marcus Garvey disciple, because we're going to need your voice. One. My other request is for you to put a message to all of the legal minds that have an interest in writing Marcus Garvey's legacy. This is the promised ship that was never allowed to dock. We need some legal minds that will come together to process words that will bring the claim to Marcus Garvey's legacy to a final stage. And I truly thank you. Truly thank you.
Thank you. So, audience, you've heard the final remarks. I've been asked to become a disciple of Marcus Garvey. What do you think about that? And how many of you out there would join me, in that discipleship?
But
we've got 1 minute left.
Real quick, as Emerson was talking about a church, no, we need all bright minds to come in and be a part of this organization. Yeah. Marcus Garvey didn't do it by himself. You had representatives all around the world. We need all those voices around the world to come down and sit down at a post-colonial economic conference and talk about the things that we need to move forward in doing as a people.
Okay, post-colonial economic conference. Okay, let's make it happen somewhere along the line. Hopefully I'm getting some thumbs up from everyone in the audience who are in agreement that they would also join me in becoming a Marcus Garvey disciple. We'll find out what that means at the a forthcoming conference, maybe something to be organized. Okay, all righty. So I want to thank you both so much for joining me today. I certainly will be staying in touch, and we'll be looking at what the next step is towards bringing to life, the works of Marcus Mosiah Garvey to a new generation across the continent, and how we can also channel some works into the AU that needs a lot of working on. Thank you so much to everyone in the audience. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And next strong, I've got a premiere that's going to be coming. I interviewed a brother from Sudan, and oh my gosh, what a story he has. So get ready. Next strong is a premiere. Okay, and the following strong is going to be a premiere as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So to my beloved brother Cleo and my beloved brother Gil, thank you so much. I'll be in touch. Take care. Bye for now. Bye for now.